I have something to say to the modern left. Try to stay true to the credentials that have always made you the spearhead of progress in this country, or else you'll start losing your best minds. I don't think that we've ever seen such a vivid example of that as what you're about to see, because Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks just went ballistic over New York's prison and bail reform that's quickly blowing up in the face of Governor Kathy Hochul. Just watch this incredible rant before I give you the inside scoop on what's really going on.
There was just a crime in Long Island where body parts were found all over Long Island. They had 4 suspects. They let them go. And now they're out there still. So what is the deal here? It sounds insane to me.
Though the crime that was brought was not what was bail eligible.
So you can't hold them?
Not on the charges he brought. But those are low-level charges. They really weren't. And we can work to make those bail eligible in the next session.
Dismembering a corpse and hiding a corpse after dismembering it, not bail eligible, not a serious crime. Listen, if being on the left means supporting this, then I'm not on the left, and I'm okay with that.
Ana Kasparian is usually the calmer voice on the TYT panel, but a rant like this, especially against her own political side, surely points to something a little more sinister. New York in recent times has become a living experiment of leftist social and economic policies, serving as a model for what may become of the rest of the country, and it's not a pretty picture because apart from things like phasing out cheap non-renewable energy for New Yorkers and proposed budget cuts for the police, there's literally nothing more dangerous than the criminals being released due to the massive loopholes in the bail reform made a few years ago. It's not the no cash bail system per se, but the terrible execution of the reforms that binds the hands of judges who are looking to prevent violent criminals from being let out into the public. That's because under the new law, judges cannot take into consideration a suspect or defendant's danger to the public when deciding to give them bail over other things like them being a flight risk. It's clear to most people on the left, including Ana Kasparian, that this will quickly become a losing strategy for the Democrats and Governor Kathy Hochul in New York.
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing, Cenk? What are we doing? What are we doing? Someone tell me, what the F are we doing?
Yeah, look, no one signed up for this.
Come at me right now and tell me I'm the bad guy because I want these people who dismembered corpses and tried to conceal the evidence in prison. Come at me and tell me I'm the bad guy. Come at me.
Look, guys.
Insane. You guys are insane. Anyone who thinks this is okay is insane. And everyone else in New York has to suffer the consequences of this with random bag checks at the subway by National Guard troops.
Now, to be fair to Ana, she's not against the general left-wing argument for no cash bail, which is something that has been also implemented in California. But it's a whole different story when you look at what's happening in New York because of one fatal loophole that Kathy Hochul doesn't even seem apologetic for. And that is setting the bar for bail non-eligibility to a few selections of violent crime, which sounds exactly as insane as it is, because that explicit and exclusionary legal language leaves out many other crimes and misdemeanors that could point to violent criminality. For example, the gruesome incident that Joy Behar laid out, which happened just last month when 4 suspects were arrested for hiding dismembered bodies in their house in Suffolk County, Long Island. Now, technically hiding evidence is obstruction of justice and not a violent crime, and combined with the fact that it was not yet clear who ended those people's lives, the 4 suspects were set free with certain conditions under New York's reform bail laws. Think about that again because it sounds insane at first. But add to this the fact that Governor Hochul doesn't even admit to that massive lapse in judgment makes you see where Ana's anger is coming from.
The time where we have the right wing, which has lost its mind, you're taking good people that would normally be on the left and driving them to the right wing with this madness. And no one agreed to it. I don't mean the voters, I mean on the left. When did we have a vote? When did we decide in a primary or a ballot measure that we should do any of this? I never once heard it at any progressive get-together, any progressive, no one has ever proposed this. All of a sudden in 2019, these activists popped up in all these cities and they're like, okay, you know what, like.
How did they succeed? I want to know.
They got massive funding.
Whether TYT admits it or not, I think an example of what Cenk just said there is sitting right beside him. Ana Kasparian in the last few months has become a target for a new kind of progressive left that she probably doesn't recognize, and even though it's not driving her to the right, it's certainly disillusioning her with the left that she used to stand for. Let me give you one very simple example of this. It was around the start of last year that Ana Kasparian put out a perfectly normal opinion on Twitter regarding the gender language debate that brought in an avalanche of ridicule against her from the far left. So what was the opinion? Well, she simply said, and I quote, "I am a woman. Please don't ever refer to me as a person with a uterus, birthing person, or someone who menstruates. How do people not realize how degrading that is? You can support the transgender community without doing this." That doesn't sound remotely transphobic, but that didn't stop the smear campaign against her from hundreds of influencers on social media. You actually have to give her credit for saying something out of line for her side of the political aisle and then standing by it as if she truly believes it. That's what happened when she put out another tweet after calls for her to apologize. And I quote, "LOL. The meltdown over wanting to be referred to as a woman rather than a birthing person is pretty wild. I'll never apologize for that, especially as a biological woman who has had a lifetime being told that I am less than. I am a woman, no apologies." It's almost as surreal and lonely an experience to realize that the communities that you've spent decades fighting for can turn on you so quickly. When that happened, I think Ana Kasparian found the rug being pulled from underneath all she's done in the fight for social justice after she dared to voice a different opinion. Ana was asked exactly that because a lot of people have been suspecting if she has really, quote, left the left.
I'm in the same place. I have the same audience. The audience doesn't like some of what I have to say or some of the new conclusions I've come to. And so I wanted to kind of set the record straight about what I have personally experienced. I don't know what my political labels are at this point, right? Because I feel like I don't really fit anywhere. And that's just full honesty. It's, again, very uncomfortable for me. And I want to say that out of any point in my adult life, this is probably the point where I'm the most malleable and open to new information because of what I've experienced over the last few years.
If I were to guess, I don't think that she's really moved to the left, and more so the fact that the left has just gone so far in that direction, it's too far. I remember this as a pattern we've seen with another TYT member, formerly a part of the left-wing network, which is Dave Rubin. But unfortunately, when Dave Rubin announced that he was done with the left and no longer identifying with it, Ana Kasparian herself came after him for it. Clearly not seeing why he had abandoned the political side he had always stood for, but even if you ignore that, it's clear that Ana's political evolution is making her think about things she's never believed she would as a staunch leftist. But I think that's always the sign of a mind that's open enough to change, and there's perhaps an intellectual humility and courage that we could all learn from.